One little known fact about the moon is its magnetic field. Unlike the Earth, the moon does not have a true magnetic field created by the liquid metal core at its center. Instead, the moon has a weak magnetization that occurs when its surface interacts with the solar wind. The solar wind, a stream of particles emanating from the sun, contains charged particles such as electrons and protons. When these particles collide with the moon's surface, they interact with its materials, creating electric currents, which in turn create a weak magnetic field around the moon. This magnetization of the moon is not constant and can vary depending on how the moon interacts with the solar wind at different times of the year and at different points in its orbit. Studying this ephemeral magnetic field helps scientists better understand how the moon interacts with its environment in outer space and how it was formed in the past. There is a little known fact about trees that has to do with their internal structure and water transport patterns. When we think of trees, we often imagine that water from the roots goes up the trunk and branches to the leaves, where it evaporates to form water vapor. However, this notion does not fully reflect reality. In fact, trees are true engineering marvels, capable of self-regulation and self-repair. For example, inside the trunk of a tree are vessels that serve to transport water and nutrients up the trunk. In reality, however, this process is much more complex than just moving fluid up a tube. Trees also have a kind of pump, which is used to keep pressure inside the vessels. They act as air bubbles that pump water up through the trunk and branches of the tree. But there are other factors that affect water transport in trees, including temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, and even the presence of gravity. Trees can also use various mechanisms to avoid drying out in hot and dry conditions. For example, many trees have special structures that provide protection against water evaporation through their leaves. These structures are called stomata and are regulated by the water pressure in the cells of the leaves. Thus, trees are truly amazing creatures, capable of adapting to a wide variety of conditions and maintaining vital processes in their bodies. Although we may not think about these processes in everyday life, they are just as amazing and important as any other facts about RM. Space objects, such as comets and asteroids, can contain large amounts of rare metals such as platinum, gold, and rhodium. These metals are found in smaller quantities on Earth, but in space objects their presence can be much higher. One way to mine these metals is by mining on asteroids. Unfortunately, it is quite difficult to get equipment to asteroids and start production and then transport the production back to Earth. However, there is another, less well-known way to mine these metals. This method involves the use of charged solar wind particles that constantly fall on asteroids and comets. When these particles interact with materials on the surface of these space objects, they can ionize and decompose metal atoms into individual pieces. This allows these metals to be collected by using simple electric fields to attract the fractured metal pieces to specially designed collectors. This method of extracting metals from space objects is still under development, but researchers hope it could become a key technology in future space missions.